Well, welcome to One-on-One. I'm Steve Adubato. I want to introduce you to a fascinating gentleman I just met, but I'll tell you what, if the conversation we're having off the air is half as interesting we're about to talk about, it's going to be great. Richard Garber is Associate Professor at NJIT's College of Architecture and Design and partner in Grow Architects. Good to see you.
Very nice to see you. Thanks for having
The
me.
conversation we were just having was about sustainable design.
Yeah.
What the heck does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of interest in this kind of design right now and in green living and that sort of thing. And I think what we try to do as architects, as educators, is really bring a lot of different factors of sustainability together and really produce products, houses, buildings, et cetera, that really speak to holistic living, a sustainable lifestyle.
Living. Translate that. Give us an example.
Well, I think it's everything from thinking about the building, thinking about the materials in the building, how the building is produced, to how smart design may lead to different choices, better choices in terms of how people live their lives. And I think that's been something that has occurred to me really lately as we've been engaged in some larger projects in New Jersey and in the communities that I grew up and live in. And, really allowing people to make these choices has been significant.
Let's break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
As we were getting ready for the program, one of the things I was thinking about is you talk about like where you place a room.
Sure.
Has something to do with sustainable living. Give us an example of what isn't so sustainable and what would be more sustainable with respect to where you would place a room.
Yeah. Well, I think, design largely, in some ways, especially kind of housing development and that kind of thing, has become cookie cutter, has become, formulaic. And, with some of the tools we use, some computational tools, some rules of thumb about sustainable living, we can really begin to simulate how our buildings will perform given a site, given environmental factors, given orientation to the sun. So just with some smart passive design, we can really...
that's the word that I keep hearing.
Yeah.
Passive design.
Passive design. That means actually that before you throw any kind of technology, before there's any moving parts, you, as an architect, really think about how the organization of a building, of a house, of a structure really responds holistically to environmental factors. So we'll look at things like daylighting. If you can use the sun to light buildings, you don't need to spend money on electricity.
What are we looking at right there?
Thing. That's prefab. That's a single-family house we completed about 3 or 4 years ago in Jersey City. Completely sustainable. Client does not pay energy bills. Gets a check back from PSE&G.
What?
Check back from PSE&G.
They get a check back from PSE&G.
That's right.
Because?
Well, in terms of that, that house is unique in that it's a 100% precast concrete solution. So typically when you look at a house like that, 1,600 square feet thereabouts, it's stick framed out of wood. What we did was we worked with a precast concrete company to make highly insulated monolithic walls that went up in 3 days as opposed to 3 months or 4 months or something like that. And they serve to store energy by day and let energy off at night. They work kind of as a heat sink in a way. And we coupled that with operable windows, some well-placed ceiling fans. The house stays very cool in the summer. It was in there in July a couple of last summer, and it was about 76 degrees inside, no air condition. And there's a small PV array, about 280 square feet of photovoltaics on the roof.
We're using a lot of jargon, photovoltaics and...
Yeah, photovoltaic panels. So
Isn't that solar?
That's solar. That's right. So we have solar panels on the roof. That house was actually designed in the computer. And so when we talk about simulating some environmental situations, we were able to pinpoint how the roof would pitch in a certain way so that it would get the most solar gain through the year. And that's where we put the photovoltaics.
And that's how you wind up not paying energy bills.
That's how you end up
But the other thing is that's a house. What about in a larger project? You have this Jackson Green project,
Yep.
I believe in Jersey City,
Yep,
New
that's
Jersey,
right.
40,000 square feet. Do these same passive, if you will, design strategies work in a larger building?
Yeah, they do.
How so?
Well, I think the game is a little bit different because you're taking up more space on the block and that kind of thing. With Jackson Green, we were tasked by the Jersey City Redevelopment Agency, who has been a great partner in this project, as well as a great not-for-profit developer called TRF out of Philadelphia, to produce these passively designed, energy-efficient houses. The budget is very small, so some of them, as additional items, will get there. It is under construction.
That is?
That's phase 1 of the construction. So there's 22 units. We have 4 in the ground currently. We just broke ground 2 weeks ago. Something like that. So we'll be done with this phase of the construction by midsummer, something like that. And then there's a second phase that's going to start. What's interesting about these projects also is their modular design. So what that means is that the projects are produced off-site, and they're trucked to the site and assembled with cranes. So that makes the assembly process very quick. You save on labor and that sort of thing. And because the houses are actually, or the units are manufactured in a factory, there's a lot more tolerance that we can design into them. And it was a fantastic process to work on these in the computer, simulate them, do all the things we're talking about, and then literally send these files electronically to a fabrication plant that's in Pennsylvania. And they worked with our digital data and basically fabricated these things.
Fascinating. By the way, the NJIT website's been up throughout this program. NJIT is our partner, an academic and educational partner on the higher ed end, doing a series of these interviews looking at smart design, sustainable design, particularly after Hurricane Sandy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
More important than ever before?
Absolutely.
Speaking to you and many of your colleagues, Richard Garber, Associate Professor, NJIT College of Architecture and Design, and partner in Grow Architects. I want to thank you for joining us in One-on-One. We've barely scratched the surface, more to talk about in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
One-on-One will continue right after this. It's interesting.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Investors Bank, Cohn Resnick, providing accounting, tax, and advisory services for more than 90 years, the Russell Berry Foundation, Fedway Associates, Inc., PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship, the law firm of Gibbons PC, and by Health First New Jersey. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey, and by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.